Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics in modern America. And today, we're going to be discussing why Trump is continuing to narrow the playing field for the primary and the general election, and why he's currently improving his shots. And after the debate debacle that just happened yesterday, he's going to go up in the polls and he's going to narrow the election a lot further. So, DeSantis and Biden, you should be scared. Hi, let's talk about it. So, Trump is at an all-time high. He's doing pretty good. He's cruising around 55%. His main opponent is at about 14%, and the polls haven't updated yet to show the after effects of the debate where a lot of these people did not perform that well, or they didn't meet the expectations of how they were supposed to perform, so they're likely to go down. You have people like Mike Pence, he might go down. He might rise, he might go down. He talked a lot, but it's up in the air whether or not he goes up or goes down. Nikki Haley will probably go down. Tim Scott, he didn't really do anything, so he's probably going to go down. Chris Christie will probably go down, and a bunch of other candidates that nobody cares about will probably stay the same. DeSantis, he didn't talk that much during the debate. He basically talked like an AI, and he didn't really say anything. But when he did get attacked, he just sort of moved on to another question. So he would get attacked and then he would just never respond and just talk about something else. So DeSantis, he didn't do terrible, but he didn't do that good either. So it's up in the air whether or not he stays where he is or he goes down because he's not gaining any points. He didn't do anything. And what he did do was not exactly up to par for how people thought that he would actually perform in the debate. He didn't do terrible, but he didn't do good. Ramaswamy will probably go up in the polls and will likely take some support from DeSantis because a lot of DeSantis voters, yeah, DeSantis support is probably going to go down. He might hit single digits soon, but it honestly depends how much fallout there is from the debates because really nobody saw the debate and the Trump and Tucker interview got millions of more views than the debate. It got almost 10 times the amounts of views that the debate got. And that is absolutely hilarious that Trump and Tucker, their interview got 10 times the amount that the official Republican debate got. And it went exactly how Trump wanted to. He got a ton of views, he trolled Fox, and his poll numbers are probably going to go up. So he's doing pretty good. He's likely to win the nomination. If he stays on course, he'll do perfectly fine and have a landslide victory in the nomination. So now Trump is generally looking forward to the general election, which at this point, yeah, it's probably a good idea just to put the primary debate on a back burner. Primary election, just put that to the side and that can take care of itself. You need to focus on the general election because that's what is coming up next, and that is your major roadblock. It's not going to be the primary because DeSantis is currently shooting himself in the foot. If he becomes a big threat, then yeah, Trump should focus on the primary, but that isn't exactly happening, and it really hasn't happened ever since he announced. So Trump is doing pretty fine, and he's going to focus on the general election after the debate. And it's really clear that if he sticks to course and if he achieves a landslide victory in the primary, he's going to make Biden getting a reelection victory a very, very tough time. It is extremely close right now. And Trump in the polls has not exactly done well, especially during a general election. During the 2016 and 2020 elections, he was not polling very high. 2016, he was above Hillary for maybe a week and then he was below her. The entirety of 2020, he did not get above Biden and when the election started, he was 7 points down, but Biden barely scraped by in a couple of these states and if he managed to sort of keep them and Biden didn't manage to flip them because these were under 1% victories and it was extremely close. But If Trump managed to keep those, he would have won re-election. And given the fact that he needed to be at 7% above Trump before the election started, he is so far below now that he's pretty much tied or losing to Trump in a lot of these polls. So, how can he win the election? He's under threat now of losing the popular vote. That's something that a Democrat hasn't lost since 2008. That it would be a major blow to a Democrat politician who's running for president if they lost the popular vote, which they haven't done in 20 years. And it would be a major win for Trump because a Republican hasn't won the popular vote in 20 years. And the last time they won it was in 2004 with George Bush. So if Trump is now under, you know, if Trump can actually win the popular vote, and that's a real possibility, and even CNN is now admitting that Trump winning is not a impossibility anymore, and even winning the popular vote is not an impossibility anymore. It's actually possible that he could win the popular vote. He can win the election. That's definitely within the realm of possibility. But now he can win the popular vote. And if he wins the popular vote, he's going to be making his chances at winning the electoral college a lot easier. Democrats, they have the big cities, and that's where most of their voter base is. So they pretty much have a stranglehold over the popular vote. But given the fact that Biden is doing terrible right now, and he is very, very unliked, well, Trump now has his chance to win that popular vote. If he gets high enough turnout, he could win the popular vote. And given the fact that a lot of Democrats also don't like Biden, then there might be low turnout for Democrats and especially for Biden. So he's under threat now of losing the popular vote. And if he was ever to die and Kamala Harris took over his place and she ran for president, well, this recent poll I think says everything. Trump is beating Biden by 1 point in these more recent polls, and then in this poll she's losing by 10 points. And if Kamala were to suddenly ascend to the presidency and was the Democratic frontrunner for 2024, that would be even worse than what Biden is in right now, where Biden, he's still in a relative tie to Trump. And yeah, Trump has the upper edge right now, and he is kind of flipping it towards him, but it's probably going to flip back and then flip forward. It's going to be a tight race, and it's going to be a even tie, and it's pretty much a coin toss for whoever wins the next election. If Kamala were to suddenly become the nominee because Biden dies, then Democrats are screwed. Kamala is very, very unliked, and Trump could have a even more major victory. He could have a landslide victory in 2024. It could go from a very contentious election where it's pretty much dead even. Imagine Florida in 2000 where it was decided by a couple hundred votes. Imagine that, but throughout all of the swing states. And a lot of these other states that are considered leans, but more so by a couple thousand. That is the margin of error that we're at, and that's how close this election is. If Kamala were to become the president and the nominee and run against Trump, she would lose the popular vote, and she would have a more likely chance of losing that than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is already under threat. If Kamala were to be the nominee and run for president, she would be within a 50-50 chance of losing the popular vote. Biden right now, he's at about a 25% chance that he loses the popular vote. And Kamala would double that. And Kamala would most likely or not completely screw herself over in states like Wisconsin, Nevada, maybe even Pennsylvania. These more Republican leaning swing states, she would completely screw herself there. Biden is already having a tough time in the polls in Michigan where you have a lot of these spoilers like the Greens and the no labels. They're stealing votes away from Biden and is making Trump winning Michigan again a real possibility. So if Kamala were to step in, it's going to be making that a lot harder. Even without the third party spoilers, it would still be a dead tie. And with those spoilers, yeah, Trump would be winning. And Trump would have a pretty decent shot at winning Michigan. So if Biden stays, that is the most important thing that Democrats need, is that Biden stays, because they have much better chance of winning with Biden than with Kamala. And if an unfortunate event happened where Biden were to die, Democrats are screwed, and they would either need to rework their strategy, or they would they would pretty much just give up, and they would admit defeat, because you're not getting anywhere with Kamala unless you have a major turnaround and a major change in strategy, because you can't fix that you can't fix the fact that in the polls, on the averages, Biden is beating Trump by a point or two, and it flip flops day to day. Sometimes it's Trump plus one, sometimes it's Biden plus one, sometimes it's a tie. It has been consistently Trump plus 5 or Trump plus 4 in the Kamala versus Trump polls. Even DeSantis, which he's doing worse than Biden. He is doing very bad against Trump, and when he's pitted against Biden, he's doing way worse than Trump against Biden. And even DeSantis is somehow beating her in the polls that come out with DeSantis versus Kamala. So Biden if Biden stays alive, then Democrats have a much better chance. And Biden needs to work on his campaign, and Democrats need to make sure that Biden can actually be a viable candidate, because you're going to need to wash away and deal with all the fact that Biden has done a lot of bad things in his presidency, and Trump is not just going to let that go. He's going to mention Afghanistan, he's going to mention the recession, he's going to mention a ton of stuff that Biden is going to need to navigate through. And given the fact that he's not doing too well mentally, I don't think that he has a very good shot at navigating that. But even then, it is still going to be a tight election, and it is going to be down to the wire for the Electoral College and the popular vote. So, yeah, if you think Trump could win, leave that in the comments below. If you think Biden could win, leave that in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.